today. We're with Katrina Young, and we are going to be talking about the digital space, creating online businesses and building the confidence to create a new business. Katrina, welcome to the Psychology Broadcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So why I invited you today, because we did a whole dossier around online space, and you kindly were one of our experts around that. And I know we've worked together on our psychology courses as well. So it's really to kind of beam out your wisdom and your kind of advice to everyone out there. I think at the moment there feels like a lot of fear in the air. You know, people are changing their jobs, losing their jobs, being made redundant. They're kind of shifting and changing. And for women, I think the digital space is a very interesting one, because it means, I've been a single mother for most of my son's life. He's nearly 18, nearly off my hands. But, without
one time,
it would have been really difficult for me to kind of earn money and be a good mother to him and all of those things. So I think kind of learning how to master and become a kind of run a business online can be really huge, not just for women, men too, but I think for women specifically. But tell me a little bit about why is it good to create an online business? You tell us a little bit about your journey about creating your own business.
Yes, I will. So thanks for having me again, Susie. And just like you say, I think for myself, the digital space posed freedom and meant that I didn't have to ask the boss, to come in late again. And for me, it just meant that, I could work the times that I wanted. And I'll add the caveat that there is still work to be done. But for someone who's living in, England, you have the potential to have a global customer base. And that was the attraction for me. It was leveraging myself and my skills and knowledge. And actually, if you have an office, a brick and mortar business, you probably wouldn't without that online presence, attract such a wide audience. So that was what it was for myself.
I think it's true though, isn't it? That piece about all of a sudden, for a lot of people, we've gone from having a local business to having a global business, and the opportunity. Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
Well, just like you said, I think for me, a lot of mums find that that's helpful as well as men. But for myself, I actually have more global clients than more in England. And for myself, it was just the nuances of having more opportunities and widening my business so that it could be more sustainable. So at the beginning, when I came to the online space, it was almost having social media, and it quickly transitioned into having that online presence and visibility. It was pertinent. You almost couldn't survive to a point now as we're moving, given the current times, but prior to this, for myself, companies who are still doing things the old way are missing huge potential, as with psychologies. Online, it's amazing, and a massive gap in the market because we have to reach people in different ways. So that's given them content, creating experiences, because everything is moving online, and so we have to move with the times and get online.
I mean, there's two things I want to ask you about. One is, where do we start? And two, how do we overcome tech fear? There's a lot of us. I mean, I always think I'm really scared of tech, but step by step, I'm learning how to do it. So where do we start, first of all? And how do we overcome that kind of, I can't do this. I don't know.
So for me, you're absolutely right. And in the old way, because my experiences a mix between project management and digital kind of business analysis, you'd have a business plan or a business canvas, and you'd have to do all of these things. And for me now, it's mitigating immediate risk. So doing your due diligence, making sure you brainstorm your expertise and your skills, knowing that you can, at least, as we discussed earlier, you can. I really want to reiterate that you are at least an expert and can give someone transformation. You want to ensure that you can do that, or it will be difficult. There is competition. So I have this premise of having the power of three, or you can be on the internet all day. So looking at three competitors, looking at three tools, brainstorming three absolute things that you can do, three, your knowledge bases, and then making sure that, sometimes we can have this terrible comparisonitis, looking at people with big numbers, but I promise you are an expert in your field, and if you do what you know really well, you can help others and you'll find yourself an audience. So that's what I say to an expert coming online in these immediate times. Just research three tools, look at 2 to 3 platforms, even if it's one. You do not have to do all of the things. Start with the end in mind and know that you probably have to bring money in. You've probably suffered in the given pandemic. So work in an agile way and don't put so much pressure on yourself to do all of the things. Business has changed, times have changed.
I mean, we were talking to a wonderful expert yesterday, and she was talking about, we don't need websites anymore. Do you know what I mean? To start a business, don't pay money to create a website, just create a LinkedIn profile. Yeah. So in terms of, and for us, I know that we keep talking about, for psychologists, creating a kind of our own network and stuff. But at the moment, we're running on a Facebook group because a lot of people and all of those things. It's kind of start where, so it would cost us a lot of money as psychologists to create this whole thing, and we could do it. We're looking at that now, which is great. But in the meantime, we have kind of technology of let's just start this, because at least we're connecting people together.
That's the important, Susie. And just how we met, it was through recommendation and through our women networks. I think it's about starting where you are. So if you are on a platform, what I found is if you are moving online or starting an online business, one of the things that I learned a bit more down the line, which I wish I'd done before, was the power of your messaging and copy. So make sure that you're very succinct with who you help, who you serve, and forget about serving it, doing all of the things. Just focus on them given the times. And you're absolutely right, with all of these networks, take advantage of forums, clubs, recommendations. My whole thing is, if you speak to your immediate audience or your circle, ask them if they're online. If they're not, find out how you can help. So, it's just about looking at, the power of who is in your network and what you can do for them.
Yeah. So again, I love this, obviously, because I'm a real helper. The thing is, how can I help? How can I serve? And you're kind of asking those questions. So, but it feels like, first of all, it is really as you said earlier, really identifying who that person is, who you can, so what your skills are and who you can help. And then, in what ways you can really serve them in a way that's going to truly transform their life.
Yes. And so I'll give you a bit of a tip. So one of the things that we don't do enough is use the power of the platforms that are already there. So Google, the search engine, it's the mother. It's at the top, right? All of the other networks, they're connected to Google. Well, if you search a term in the search box for your respective expertise, at the bottom, Google has suggestions. So Google's actually trying to help you and telling you that people are paying for these keywords. This is what's frequently searched with that. So instead of trying to rack your brain, it's looking at, the things that your audience are probably looking for. Again, when you're moving online, things like audience, it's like, what does this mean? And so it's the people that you want to reach, the people that you want to help and serve, and just looking at where they are, just like you said. And for myself, if you're just starting out, there's a one-page website called About Me, because of course, not everyone is on social media. And that's what I found, is that there's been a quick digital kind of age where everyone now has to get online, and not everyone likes social media. So it's just looking at, having somewhere that people can reach you and you can promote your services.
Yeah. In terms of content, I know that this is, for me, of a magazine. I mean, I don't find it hard at all. I mean, I'm constantly, it's one of my skill set is to come up with loads of ideas. And what I found really interesting, I've been doing some kind of masterclasses with people around coming up with content, and I'm like, oh, not everyone knows how to do this. So tell us about, so you've identified what your skills are, what your audience is. How do you start to kind of brainstorm about the content, that you can deliver? Because you talk about content plans.
I do, yeah. And when we first met, we were talking about, how the kind of content that reaches them and their touch points. So my thing is, there is, everyone shouting online effectively in a virtual space. You need to bring yourself back to who you are and how you work with clients. So you said you work with the magazine.
I've got really broadcasting from a chicken elbow. It's when it rains. You can't hear me.
Okay.
I'm listening. Can you hear?
So basically for myself, it's making sure that you look at where your audience is and how you serve them. And like you said, content for me is the conduit that either helps you to sell or facilitates that transformation. And so the most important part is how you package that. So if you are a coach, like you said, you want to think about that customer experience and how you can give them touch points if they're in a digital space. So it doesn't have to be social media. It can be a forum, but it's creating the content so that your customers engage with it, they get a result, and they can go through to the rest of your content to educate them, to help diagnose, because of course, not all of your clients will want to work with you one-on-one. They just might want a resource that they can go through. So it's designing content and experiences so that you can have that content strategy. And that does really matter in the online space.
Yeah. I mean, I know that for psychologists, we're constantly looking at this. We're constantly saying, what is it that our readers want? What does our audience want? And it is that belief that no matter how crap life can be, there's always a way forward, there's a way out, and that's why we're today, because the online business, I know that everyone's got lots of fear at the moment around, oh my goodness, but there is a way, and these are the
so much opportunity.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really
a fantastic time. It really is. And I think if I was coming into the online space today, the first thing I would do is look at where my audience are hanging out. And I actually did that last. I was like, I have to have the website, I have to have the logo. And actually, I work with really great people now, and they don't even have a website. They literally are just looking for their customers via forums or using LinkedIn, just as you said. So it's a great time to be alive. But for me, we're also moving into an echo chamber, and an echo chamber is where things are sounding the same, people are scrolling, so you have to do a little bit more in order to capture people's attention. So there's things, I was speaking with Lucy just last week about this. It's thinking about how people are going to be finding your content. So if I was to give a quick tip to people coming online now, it's looking at how people can search by voice to come across your content. And that takes no time. It's just optimizing your content, and just looking at how you can make your content interactive, because it's a statistic, I have to find the source, that says that people are searching for content on their mobile phones. So it's just looking at, things like that and considering, if they download this, could I make an interactive link so they can just call me straight away? So it's looking at how you can quickly reach your customer and the consumer.
Yeah, and again, I think at the heart of it, I think it's about building relationships, isn't it? It's a building relationship with your audience, building relationships, with people. I mean, I love, as you say, when you were saying about not having to have a website or not having to. We were massive fans at Psychologies of this artist called Margot from Margate, and basically she started an Instagram account and started painting, and she was doing absolute great guns, and I love the idea of what she was saying. It was almost like a feminist turnaround, and all of a sudden she could make money from her kitchen table being creative and artistic just by having an Instagram account. I mean, how cool is that?
And this is the thing, and this is why I'm saying that there's so many platforms out at the moment. There's so much opportunities. I think that right now, I know the times are tough, but there is, awful lot of opportunity. And here's the thing, if you are a little bit shy, there are women network groups, so you can partner with other people. You know, you don't have to do it alone. And I think that's what I love about these times. It's all of these wonderful communities, often on your doorstep. I found a local community last week. So it's just, for me, the importance is knowing who you are, knowing who you serve, and getting out there.
Sure, which is all great. And just before you go, because I find myself, but the whole piece around introverts. So I know that you said before the interview that you are an introvert. So you know, there's a lot of fear for people who are introverts about being seen, and you know, and this is what our interview was about yesterday, about how can you be seen, how can you kind of make an impact. So for you, what is it that how do you manage that when you're you know, you don't get a lot of
for me, it's understanding the power of your words and your images. So as I said, if you're in a digital space, I learned the term copy pretty much down the line, but I would lead with that right now. It's understanding your message and the power of messaging. And how you reach people. And for introverts, for me, it's about, like you said, it's understanding best practice for being online. You don't have to be on there all of the time. You don't have to do all of the things. And just for me now, when I put that down at the evening, I'm no longer socializing or engaging. So it's been because there is another side to social media and being in the online space and digital. So you just have to foster best practice and how it works good for you, how that can help you in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Katrina, thank you so much for joining us today. Business consultant and award-winning in the digital space. Been helping us at Psychologies. Thank you so much for joining us today, Katrina. Really lovely to see you.
I hope you're okay on the boat there.
I know. Well, the rain is a little bit, you know, and we're kind of going this. I've actually felt a bit sick this morning because my boat was going up and down. But apart from all right, Katrina,
thank you so much. Thank you. Lots of love and thanks for having me.
Bye.